All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Got you covered here with the live stream for the Masters. Mostly we'll touch on MLB and NBA as well. Just going to be giving you guys the best prop bets for the day, but I did want to start out with getting into the Masters coverage because it did just kick off. And for the Masters tournament, they are running out another promotion today where it's going to be, you basically need to get a bet correct each day to get, I think it was a free $40. So that's kind of a promotion that they're running out there for PrizePicks specifically. So definitely interesting there. We got Jeff saying first here. Yeah, welcome on in. A little bit of a surprise live stream, trying to work this into the schedule today. Hopefully I have enough time. But yeah, let's get into the Masters here. I did want to just touch on this. I was kind of waiting to see what the weather would be like. There was a little bit of a delay in round one. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of put the best foot forward before I put out content. And I want to call it the ones that I think are going to be the best for you guys. So to me, the best one that we currently have is actually going to be Scotty Scheffler for more birdies or better over Rory or over Jon Rahm. And so let's kind of get into that to start. And it's not going to pop up on the cheat sheet as like those two being the two best. What it's favoring right now is going to be a lot of these birdies are better. But personally, I don't know if I exactly love these ones simply because these are all sorry, I don't know why it keeps cutting out. They're all at about 3. Okay, so to me, these are all being favored as pushes. The one that I do like the most is probably Matt Fitzpatrick for over 3 birdies or better. We can see the underdog line has it set at 3.5. This is round 1, which is going to be a little bit windy, and he is a pretty good bad wind specialist. You're going to see these two popping up, Vijay Singh and Fred Couples. Kind of ignore that. They're kind of outliers just because there's no data points going in on them. So just kind of ignore those. But I think they are kind of worthwhile in the sense that you could bet and this is going to be the case with some other props as well. You could bet lower on PrizePicks for those two and then bet the over on underdog. And then you could also do that for some other golfers as well. So I'll get into the birdie or better matchups here in a second, but let's start with this. So what we're going to see here is that we are getting a decent amount of prop line differences as well. So I really don't mind the idea of attacking round 1 specifically for PrizePicks and underdog by just trying to hit some middles. For the most part, I think that's the approach that we want to go with. The data kind of telling us that as well for the projection data. So Brooks Koepka is someone that came into the Masters tournament not in good form. Kind of tough to measure good form because he's a live golfer. If you guys don't know what that is, doesn't really matter. Basically, he doesn't play on the PGA Tour anymore, which is the main golf tour. Then you have Hideki. Hideki is coming in tremendous form. So I do like the under for him on PrizePicks, but really, I think we have some good milling opportunities with those. You have that with Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm as well. And the reason why I think that those are important when we get into the strokes here is because we really do not have a good sense of exactly how round 1 of the Masters is going to play because it was supposed to rain a decent amount last night and into the morning. It didn't rain as much as they thought. So maybe the greens are a little bit more dry, which would mean that the scoring is going to be a little bit more difficult, which would mean that the underdog lines that we're getting would be the better routes. But also, maybe because the weather was projected to be bad, we're not getting as, this is so technical. I know most people don't get it. But the pin placements that are there for golf, they're not going to be as difficult. So maybe it's a little bit easier. We don't know that with golf. I think it's best to just make bets based off of how the course. This bet here for Brooks for under, okay? Then from there, I would say Hideki, I like under as well. But if you're running those two bets out, I would suggest running them out on underdog as well. Now let's go ahead and get into the birdie or better matchups that I mentioned. So I like Scotty over Rory and then Scotty over Jon Rahm. Let's get into why. So first and foremost, when we look at that, that's going to be the best edge that we have on the board is Scotty over Rory, birdies or better. Scotty Scheffler, his birdie or better prop on like something like DraftKings Pick 6 was set at 4.5. So was Rory's and Jon Rahm's. But if you went to like DraftKings Sportsbook, their lines were a half lower. Okay. Then if we go to this as well, like using just PrizePicks, we're going to see Scotty's. Okay. This is now the same. Jon Rahm and Rory's were at 3.5 all day yesterday, and Scotty's was at 4. So the chances are Scotty, and on paper this is true, Scotty's going to score more birdies than Rahm and or Rory. So that's where I like the birdie or better matchup for Scotty over Rory a little bit more, or Jon Rahm. You do less Jon Rahm versus Scotty. I like over Rory a little bit better. Rory's been kind of a slow starter thus far this season, so that'd probably be the one I would want to roll with the most. Now, I do think it's interesting. They finally added in some greens and regulations props as well. And so the nice thing about these ones is they're all starting a little bit later here. And so let's take a peek at those as well. So these greens and regulations props that we are getting, not a big edge as a whole, but we are getting a few where it's a little bit different. So really just Jordan and Collin Morikawa. Another opportunity for us to middle. And again, the reason why middling is important in golf is because a lot of times we're just betting on how the course is going to play. And using a little bit of a different prop like this is actually going to increase your payout on something like PrizePicks or Underdog. Whereas if you just keep loading up on Stroh's props, they're going to decrease the payout because, well, you're kind of increasing your likelihood to profit. You're betting on the course at that point. So yes, I like the idea of using the greens and regulations props. So Jordan, we would do more. And then who else was the other one? Collin Morikawa would do more as well. Okay. And then the nice thing about this is we could essentially do the exact same thing on Underdog, just the opposite. Okay. Use these same ones, maybe besides Scotty, and bet the opposite there. So that's how I like going about attacking the Masters so far in round one. Really not as much exposure as I would have liked, honestly, for round one of the Masters. PrizePicks was extremely low with getting their lines out. Underdog, there was some edges out there, like I think it was Sunday night, Monday morning. But as the week progressed, they kind of corrected some lines that they had. And I will say, just going back to these birdies are better for like Rory and Rahm. Now the data is favoring the under for these even heavier. A lot of people bet on these because the sports books, like DraftKings, had it like at minus 167 for Rahm and Rory to get over 3.5 birdies, which is great. I mean, that's how we should be betting for the most part. Just as an FYI, though, the sports books really are not that good at projecting golf still in 2024. So I don't know. I would, if you guys ever see that, I wouldn't go too crazy with it. It's a good reference point. You could use that honestly with confirmation bias if you like a prop bet, where if you are using something like DraftKings Sportsbook or anything else where it's telling you that's a good bet, use that more as confirmation bias rather than like the data point to go off of. Okay. This is an interesting comment from Joseph. To not do well at the Masters is always a solid bet. It's really not, though. It's very much hit or miss with Rory. And had it not been for how his finish last week and really over the weekend, I would have been like, yeah, we're betting against Rory this whole week. But to me, it really seemed like he was trying to trend in the right direction for his form. And so, yeah, I don't know about that, Joseph. I'm actually my biggest FOMO this week, just before we get into MLB and NBA props, just betting wise and like DFS wise, if you guys play DFS, is that I wasn't on Patrick Reed as much as I want outright wise. I could see him winning, weather and whatnot maybe sneaks into it, but also not being on Rory as much as maybe I should have been. But I feel like that's every single Masters. It's like the FOMO for Rory always kicks in to get the Grand Slam. So I don't know. It's fun. It's a fun week. So let's go ahead now and get into some of those MLB props that we have on the day today. And we are getting a decent amount of good MLB prop bets. We started to get some pitching fantasy score prop bets. Now, yesterday, it was like 50-50 on the day as a whole. So really not bad day yesterday, honestly, bet slip wise. I think it was 0 for 3. Luckily, got saved by 2 discount dollars hitting. But really, kind of a disappointing day. Mikal Bridges ruined it. I know there's some people in the Discord probably watching it. Mikal Bridges, 23 minutes when he was projected to get like 34, 35. That sucked. That really sucked. And yeah, so just going back into the Masters prop. Yeah, the weather is bad at Augusta, but it's not as bad as expected. And just as an FYI for anyone that's let's see here, going back to the golf props, that's already being factored into my data is how golfers play in bad weather, just as an FYI. So that's already being factored in there. Okay. But yeah. Okay, we're still on golf. That's fine. We can get back into golf here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, get those in. Sorry, it keeps cutting out. Akshay on pick 6, I believe it was betting his overstrokes. I believe he was at a wrong. No. It was like his birdies or better were too high on pick 6. I don't know if you guys play pick 6, but for Akshay on PrizePicks, we'll get back into that real quick. Let's see. So he's never played this event before, and that's the biggest caveat. He's come. I don't know why he keeps cutting out. He's coming in off of a victory. Okay, and so if you look at maybe someone like Corey Connors, who was in this exact same situation last year, he had his worst start at the Masters recently last year. I do expect that from Akshay. I expect him to struggle. And so I would say the 74 that we're getting from him, probably correct. I will say it's very difficult to imagine him getting 4 birdies. And so I probably would be favoring the under, but he's being valued as a push, which is what he should be being valued at. Yeah, Mikal Bridges. I mean, that's late season NBA DFS. That was super tilting, but it's kind of, I don't want to say it's expected, but it comes with the territory with late season NBA DFS. The other ones that popped up for good fantasy score prop bets, Trey Mann throughout the day, that one cashed easy, and I really wish that was there at the start of the day. And then KD, a little bit of a sweat, that one hit, and then Donovan Mitchell hit easily. I mean, that's just late season NBA, though. But yeah, let's go ahead real quickly and get into the MLB. I'll jump into some questions after I talk about the MLB props then. So looking at it, guys, yes, we have a good pitching fantasy score prop bet for Garrett Whitlock here, which is really popping up. Now, yesterday, those did not work. Tanner Beebe was a good bet yesterday. He was even a discount dog and really failed everyone. He was terrible. He got shelled. But I do think that the best bets that we're going to get day in and day out are going to be these pitching fantasy score prop bets or pitching strikeout props, because they are the most predictable on paper on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, rather than trying to predict someone to hit a home run or get a steal. Those are more random. On a day-to-day basis, season long, you can kind of project that. So yeah, I don't mind doing the over pitching fantasy score prop bet. That's going to be one of the best bets that we have on the board today. Feel pretty comfortable with that one as a bet. And then some other ones. We got some hitting fantasy score prop bets. And so we are going to see some decent prop line differences between how PrizePicks is valuing these and how Underdog is valuing those. To me, that's how I want to go about attacking really the hitting fantasy score prop bets, where we can see a pretty solid difference in terms of how the two sites are valuing them. And so like Willie Adames, that's decent. Don't get me wrong, but Marcus Semien here for over 7.5 for his hitting fantasy score. I feel pretty good about that. So we can toss that one in there for our MLB slip. And we got another one, Gunnar Henderson, where it's exactly the same there as well. And I will say, guys, if you guys are anyone that's bet on these hitting fantasy score prop bets, they are the biggest sweat out of any prop that we get each and every day, because it's not like NBA where you can kind of gauge how good you're doing. It's more, all right, he got a hit, he got a steal, or you got RBI. It's like a slow grind towards a good day or a bad day. It's very rare for someone to just like hit a home run. It is the most, it's the most stressful. Let's put it that way. I kind of forgot about that from last year, but yeah, we are getting some good prop bets here. Garcia is fine. Austin Riley's a good one. And then Willie Adames. So yeah, let's just put those few ones in there and feel pretty good about those ones. And then, so yeah, what's the last one there? Riley. Okay. And so this is kind of what it'd be looking like for a bet slip on PrizePicks for MLB. Obviously, some of these are going live. That's also why I wanted to get this video out to you guys when I did. Yeah, looking like a pretty good bet there. Obviously, don't worry about the entry. If you guys are doing more or less, that's based off of your bankroll. Please pay no attention to that. I don't need anyone making bad bets according to their bankroll. So real quickly, let's jump into the underdog side of it as well. And then, yeah, let's see here. So some slight edges here. De La Cruz, it's crazy how much he's been popping up for the under fantasy score. So this is for Underdog, just as an FYI. De La Cruz under fantasy score is decent. Jose Altuve over fantasy score, decent. I really wanted to see some more pitching fantasy score prop bets, but Yeah, not much. Really just one good one today on PrizePicks. So let's go ahead and jump into NBA as well. I don't think we're getting too many good bets just yet for NBA. I might actually have to do a live refresh here. But let me jump into some questions as well, or some comments as well. Let's see. So yeah, Andrew. So this is a great question here. So yeah, with golf specifically, the biggest factor really in golf is, well, weather, but that's kind of a separate factor. It's the course, how they have the course set up to play that round specifically. And that's always kind of the guessing game. So yeah, you're more betting on the course rather on the players. Now, yes, there's going to be certain players that are going to play better. There are certain players that play better in round one than they do in round two on average. Stuff like that. That stuff does matter and everything. But for the most part, the biggest success that there's been in props betting for golf is betting on kind of middling for the most part. And that's why you have seen PrizePicks and Underdog correct the payouts because of that, because there was a massive edge in there last year. I think it was last year around this time they corrected the payouts to shift when you just stacked, because there's a massive edge there. So it does make sense to really just bet on how the course is going to play. You're kind of okay with having a miss on the operating on PrizePicks. All right, so my daughter is in the process of waking up, so I'll get into a quick NBA slip here, guys, and then I got to get out of here. So I was trying to sneak in a live stream here before my daughter woke up from her nap. Apologies here. Just a quick one here now. Just looking at the NBA prop bets that we have. Apologies, I won't be able to refresh this, I don't think. Let's just see here. While that's refreshing on my end, we'll show you pick six, guys. If you guys want some pick six props, we are getting some pretty good early edges for NBA. I'm not sure if any of you guys played that MLB wise. Let's see. Jackson Holiday under singles. Brady Singer for pitching strikeouts. That's decent as well. And then, yeah, so I won't have time to refresh this here. I'll refresh this right after this video for the fantasy score prop bets. So apologies for that. Real quickly, this is kind of what I'm looking at for the bet of the day for MLB. For PGA purposes, again, I really like Scotty to get more birdies than Rory or John Rahm. That's for you guys to decide. And then again, just looking at some of those middling opportunities that we have with Brooks and Hideki. And then greens and regulation props as well, where we're getting those prop line differences. So sorry, guys, got to cut it a little bit shorter than I wanted to. Kind of out of my control there. Appreciate you guys being here. I will try to do some more live streams as I can, hopefully more and more. But yeah, that's going to be all. Good luck today. And as always, let's keep cashing.